Baldur's Gate 3 is a game all about collecting the best weapons and armor. But let me ask you this, does all this stuff really make you happy? Hello, my name is Zenny Zennison, and I believe that the key to a fulfilling existence is not through amassing a department store's worth of items in your backpack, but by letting go of your worldly possessions. All of this stuff only serves to burden you. As my master once said, to live freely is to live modestly. And to prove my point, I will be beating Baldur's Gate 3, with no items, on tactician, as God intended. The rule is, my inventory must be empty at all times, except for items that are absolutely necessary to progress. Like the artifact, that means no equipment, no potions, and no scrolls. There are also a bunch of other ramifications I didn't realize this rule would have on my playthrough, but we'll get to that. So without further ado, let's get into it. I awake from a pod and enter an unknown world. A normal person might be afraid here, but not Zenny Zennison. He understands that fear is just a feeling, and a useless one at that. You know what else is useless? My weapons and armor. Immediately, I discard all my belongings. I won't be needing them. From there, I meet my first initiate, Zhao. She is a determined young lady, desperate to prove herself to her people, but I tell her she has always been worthy, just the way she is, and her desire to prove her worth is misguided. My master once said, the most important approval you can receive comes from within. Zhao is so moved by my words that she strips down in battle and joins my side. Next, I find Shadowheart trapped in a pod. I need an item to free her, so... Too bad, Shadowheart, we're leaving you behind. We get to the helm and take control of the ship, using the greatest weapon we have, our bodies. From there, the ship crashes, and I am separated from Zhao, but I quickly find a new disciple. Astarion. He is a man with a deeply traumatic past, but I tell him that he is more than just his trauma, and he still has room to grow and change. And he is so moved by my words that he strips down. Next, I meet Gale. Once a powerful and respected wizard, he has since fallen from grace due to one terrible mistake. This is a man full of regrets, but I tell him that the first step to redemption is forgiving yourself, and he is so moved by my words that he strips down. I reach level 2, and I realize something that went completely over my head. I can't respec, because that would cost gold. That means everybody is stuck with one level in their starting class, and their ability scores are locked in. This severely limits the builds I can make. It also means that all my choices will be permanent, so I have to be really careful about the choices I make, leveling up. I reunite with Zhao, and I head into the crypt. Now you might be wondering, how can I rest if I can't pick up food? And the answer is, I don't need to pick up food. I can just send it straight to camp, bypassing my inventory. The problem is, I can only do this with food in containers. I'll be missing out on the food in the open world, so I have to be conservative about my long rest. I head deeper into the crypt, and I hit my first hurdle. These looters absolutely wreck us. I also have another realization. I can't actually revive anyone who dies. Scrolls of Revivify are off the table, and Withers demands gold for his services. He's a greedy bastard. That means I literally can't afford to have anyone die. At least until I get the spell Revivify. I give up on this battle. No use hitting my head against a wall. I meet Will, Blade of Frontiers. And what can I say? He's a well-rounded guy. I have no advice for him. But he strips down anyways. He is the Blade of Frontiers no longer. He is now just of Frontiers. I also meet Shadowheart, but I don't recruit her yet. I want to see how long I can go without the artifact, before the game forces it on me. Next, I go fight the Harpies, but it goes very poorly. I try 4 times, and 4 times I fail. None of my attempts even came close. Making no headway here, so I head to the Blighted Village. But I fail persuasion check, and I have to fight the goblins. As you might imagine, it went poorly. I am being obliterated left and right. The only way I can make my character stronger is by leveling up, so I do just that. I passed the persuasion check, and I reached level 3. I grabbed the spells Water Whip, Fist of Four Thunders, and Fist of Unbroken Air, all spells that push and pull people. I think you understand what I'm going for. I return to the Harpies for a rematch. I begin the fight by yanking the Harpy from the high ground to my level. One level is all it took to make the difference. I win the fight.
Spare me a moment.
Later on, I get a strange request from one of my disciples. Gale wants me to bring him a magical item for him to eat. I am disappointed in him. After all we've been through, he chooses now to turn his back on my teachings. To be honest, I totally forgot about this. If I don't get Gale magical items, he'll leave the party, and I can't because of the challenge. So I guess I just have to say goodbye to Gale, eventually. I encounter some hyenas. One of them tries to run away, but I yanked him back into my clutches. God, I love that move. We vanquish the hyenas before they can transform. I then meet Karlach, a high-spirited woman, despite her tragic past of being betrayed and exploited. But underneath her bubbly attitude, she is filled with rage and frustration over her fate. But I tell her, even though she has lost much, there's one thing no one can take from her: her free will. It is the choices a person makes that defines who they are, and Karlach chooses to be a positive person. She is so moved by my words that, you guessed it, she strips down. At the Goblin Bridge, I meet Shadowheart again. She tries to give me her trinket, but I would not be tempted by this witch. I must keep my vows. I head inside the temple, and I am turned away at the entrance. But I do not fret. As my master once said, if there is no clear path forward, make one. I take out the enemies at the top. Then, I blast my way in. Try to free Rollo, but the cage requires a key, and the door is indestructible. Sorry, Rollo, I tried my best. I take care of some goblins. Then I rest, and I see her, my master. You see, my master passed away a long time ago, but she still visits me as a ghost in my dreams, to offer me wisdom and make sure I'm keeping to my oath of modesty. I owe everything to her. She taught me everything I know, and I can only hope that one day, my disciples will look up to me the same way I look up to her. Now, I have some goblin leaders to beat. Priestess Gut is my first target. She is isolated now, but if I don't want her alerting the rest of the temple, I'm gonna have to kill her before she gets her turn. I fail on my first attempt. On my second attempt, I fail to kill her before her turn. At first, I think all is lost, but Will gets a reaction, and defeats her with Hellish Rebuke. Mindara is my second target, and I won't even need to fight her to beat her. I give her the location of the grove. As she's leaving, I destroy the bridge under her. She plummets into the abyss. Voragzlin, however, is a tricky enemy to beat. I'm gonna need a cunning plan to beat him. Just kidding, I'm just gonna push him into this hole. And there you have it, a defeated goblin camp without needing items. Who needs a sword when you have brains? And a gaping chasm nearby. Back at the grove, I have another realization. Karlach is going to die. I can't pick up Infernal Iron, so I can't complete her quest. I'm starting to get the sense that items are important to the game. Now the next boss I want to fight is Auntie Eto. The problem is, I have to get through these poison traps. Usually, I would block the vents using items, but I don't have any items. I decide to use some nearby mushrooms by dragging them along. Since they're not going into my inventory, I'm not breaking the rules. But in the end, it just seemed like so much work, so I just maneuvered around gas. I do end up taking quite a bit of damage though, and I'm at a short rest, so it looks like I'm gonna have to start the battle at a disadvantage. I commence the battle, and it goes very poorly. Immediately, Eto and one of her clones uses Hold Person on 2 of my party members. Will and Hysterion fall very early on in the fight, and it's pretty much a losing fight from there. On my second attempt, I start by positioning my party on the high ground. Then I have Gale use Magic Missile to take out most of the clones. This fight in general just goes a lot better. The problem with Eto is that she's slippery and has lots of ways of disengaging, but if you overcome her tricks and find a way to consistently pressure her, the fight should be easy. Another victory for Zenny Zennison. Look at all these precious items. If only. No, Zenny, snap out of it! Master is watching. We encounter some Githyanki on the road. They are fearsome warriors, adorned in silver weapons and armor. But I am not afraid. My master used to say, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. So we confront them, and we demand they let us through. Oh no. But maybe we could beat them. I believe in my disciples. My faith in them is stronger than any armor. Oh no. I have that conversation again, but this time I passed the persuasion check, though I have to do another check to get by. 5 difficulty class, easy enough. Oh no. I finally talk some sense into him, and we get by. Karlach has to talk to us about fixing her engine. Sorry Karlach, no can do. Then, it finally happens. The artifact appears in my hand. I try to toss it away, but it just returns. Again and again. Oh no, Master will be so upset with me. Gale is starting to get really cranky about his upset tummy. But maybe I can fix this. If I can get to Elminster, he can solve Gale's problem, and I might be able to keep Gale without feeding him artifacts. Elminster can be found at the end of Act 1. I just need to get there. The problem is, there are some undead blocking the way. After a few attempts, it's clear that I'm nowhere strong enough to beat them yet. So I head to the monastery to level up. We hit level 5, and we get a few new things. Zenny gets the extra attack, but more importantly, we have access to level 3 spells. So I return to the path for a rematch. I begin the fight with 2 fireballs from Gale and Will. The battle starts out strong, and we take out one Death Shepherd quickly. But just as quickly, the other one revives it, undoing all our progress, and we lose. On my next attempt, I succeed, mostly through the use of the spell, Hunger of Hadar. It creates a massive cloud that damages and slows our enemies. In this case, they just get completely crippled by it. They get so bogged down that they can't reach my party. Meanwhile, I just stand outside the cloud and attack into it. It's crazy how one spell can completely trivialize a fight. We move on to the entrance of the Shadowcurse lands, but Elminster is nowhere to be found. It appears I need to progress Gale's quest in order for him to appear, so I guess there's no saving Gale in this playthrough. Now, I could just head to Act 2 now, and say I beat Act 1 without items, while patting myself on the back. But, I want a challenge. So I head to the monastery, looking to fight the Githyanki Inquisitor. But as I get there, I realize there's a force field in the way, and the only way to get past is by inserting a gem. Well, there's always the Underdark. I head to Goblin Temple, but I realize the door to the Underdark is locked and needs a key. Crap! Luckily, I realized another way to get to the Underdark. There's a giant hole I could jump down. The problem is, I need Feather Fall to survive the jump, and nobody in my party knows that spell. But I realized I could just level up Karlach as a wizard. Might as well use her before she explodes. I head down the hole, and immediately get destroyed by Minotaurs. Boss I'm gunning for is near, so I head across the water. On my way, I am stopped by the Coast Guard, and I think that this fight really highlights the strength of my party. Make it to where Nier is. Then I remember, he's stuck behind rocks. Usually I would use bombs to get him out, but due to the challenge, I can't. Or can I? Remember, the rule is I can't put things into my inventory. There's nothing stopping me from dragging an explosive to where I want it to be and detonating it. But where would I find a bomb that suits my needs? Oh, she has one. Although I do have trouble getting her to part with it. If I persuade her not to nuke us, she will only give us a vial, which is useless because it's in my inventory. I try attacking her. Maybe if I kill her in a single turn, I can stop her from detonating. But no, she blows it up as soon as she takes damage. Next, I try going to stealth and moving the barrel. And it works. She thinks I took the barrel, and she doesn't threaten to blow it up, even though I only moved it 3 feet. However, after the conversation, as she leaves, she takes it. Crap. I try again. This time, I switch to Gale, and I have him put the barrel further away from her. And it works. She doesn't pick it up. Now it's just a matter of bringing the barrel to where Nier is, and blowing it up. But just moving the barrel is a long process. There are a few hiccups along the way. I accidentally put it on the fire, and it blows up my entire team. Oops. I also learned that the NPCs really don't like it when I move the barrel. Whenever they see me move the barrel, they try to confiscate it. This made the ordeal infinitely more annoying. Not only did I have to move this huge ass barrel across the map, now I had to deal with NPCs trying to steal it. I'm not exaggerating when I say it took me over 40 minutes to transport this barrel. I had to reload so many times. But eventually, I get it where I want it to be, and I blow it up. I freed Nier from certain death, just so I could kill him myself. Now that I'm thinking about it, none of this makes any sense. I side with the rebels, and the battle commences. All in all, the fight was easy. The explosion killed many of Nier's allies. I got to push Nier into the lava, so at the end of the day, it was all worth it. And there you have it. I beat Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3, without any items. I hope Master is proud of me.